Hello everyone, welcome back to this Mechanics of Materials lecture 2. Before starting this lecture, first I'll request everyone whosoever is watching this video to please subscribe for this channel because it will motivate me to prepare good quality lectures in respect to this topic as well as the upcoming topics that I'm going to cover based on the GATE syllabus. First thing that I wish to inform you all is that since this is an online class, so it will not be possible to practice many questions during the class. That is why I have made an arrangement of this practice test cum test series, which you can avail by just paying rupees 250. And it will contain 120 to 150 questions strictly based on GATE concepts. For availing this test series practice test, you can write an email to this mail ID gmt100.500@gmail.com. Once you write a mail to us, we will provide you the account details to which you have to make the payment of rupees 250. And after that, once we receive the payment from your side, we will send this hard copy of practice test cum test series to you by post to whatever your address you are providing to us. Okay. So currently, I'm taking lecture on mechanics of materials, but simultaneously, I will also start taking lectures on engineering materials, which is the beginning of section 4 of GATE Mechanical Engineering syllabus. And in this engineering materials also, I'll do the same. That is, if you wish to avail the practice test cum test series, you have to pay again rupees 250. And the test series will contain 120 to 150 questions based on GATE concept. And you have to write the mail again to gmt100.500@gmail.com. Why I'm providing this practice test cum test series? Because you can practice questions from somewhere else also. But since I'm taking these lectures, so I'll prepare the test series according to my lectures and which will certainly match with the concepts that are being used in GATE papers. So I request you to please follow this my test series because it will be highly beneficial for you. Because this test series will be strictly based on the pattern of GATE ME. Okay, so I suppose you have got these points. Now I'll begin with the lecture, second lecture on mechanics of materials. So first point that I'm going to start is this lecture 2 is continuation of the previous lecture on stress and strain. So some more details I'm going to cover in this lecture. So I'll start with bars with cross sections varying in steps. What does this mean? Simply means there are 2 to 3 members connected such that cross section at each member is varying like this. This is the third member. Cross section is varying in steps. But the applied load at both ends is same. E. Here also it is E. This is cross section A1. This is A2. This is A3. Similarly, this one is L1. This one is L2. And this one is L3. So how do we go around this question? Simply we have to break these three parts in three different free body diagrams. So I consider, see, if this section is to remain in equilibrium, then the free body diagram will look something like this. P load at this side and P load at this side. This is A1. Similarly, P or A2 like this, and P will act on this side for equilibrium, and then for A3. So if you see here, what I told in above figure, that at this point, the net load acting here is 0. So you see here, P is acting in this direction and this direction. This will cancel out. So net load here will be 0. Or rather, I'll write in this way, 0. Similarly, if we see here, net load here is 0. So again, see this. P on this A3 is acting in left direction. On A2 it is acting in right direction. So this will cancel out, and as a result, this section also will have 0 load. So ultimately what we are getting, P on this side and P on this side, similar to this figure, this one. So how can we write stress equation? Simple. Stress in for A1. Stress sigma is load upon A1. And as you know, Young's modulus is stress upon strain. So once you know the sigma 1, you can find out Young's modulus. Similarly, delta 1, that is change in length of A1 due to applied load P. This will be P L1 upon A1 E. Okay. Similarly for A2. For A2, sigma 2 will be P upon A2 because load is constant. And from this figure, you can also see that on A2, load is 0 on both ends, this end as well as this end, which is clear from this figure as well. This at both ends, P cancels out. So on left also, load is 0 on A2 as well as on right also, load is 0 on A2. So you just have to balance the forces. E will be sigma 2 by epsilon 2 and delta 2 will be P L2 upon A2 E. Okay. Similarly, you can write for A3 as well. For A3, sigma 3 E and del 3. Okay, what will be the total strain on this member? Total strain on this member will be delta, which is delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3. This will be total change in length due to applied load P. Okay, so this is quite simple, I suppose. Nothing hard on this. Now we'll do one question based on this to get the clear understanding. Let me draw. This is P equal to 40 kilonewton. Okay. Then second member, and then again third member. Okay. At this side also load is 40 kilonewton. So load is not varying. D1 is 25 mm. This is D2, which is 20 mm, and this is D3, again 25 mm. Okay, this length is 160 mm. This is 240 mm, and this is again 160 mm. Find out Young's modulus E. So this is quite simple, right? From D1 you can find out A1, which is nothing but pi by 4 D1 square. From D2 you can find out A2, which is nothing but pi by 4 D2 square. And from D3 you can find out A3, which is nothing but pi by 4 D square. Now draw the free body diagram for these three components. So for D1, this will be 40 here, 40 here. Okay. Now we see that at D2, no load is acting at either end. Okay. 0 here as well as 0 here, load. So we'll draw the free body diagram accordingly. This is D2. So you see here on D2, resultant load is 0 at left end as well as right end, because on D3 load 40 Newton is acting, kilonewton is acting on left, and on D2 it is acting on right. So this will cancel out, and as a result, the resultant load here D2 D3 interface will be 0. Similarly, resultant load at D1 D2 interface here will be 0. Okay. Now apply simple equations. Let us say this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. It is understood. So for 1, sigma 1 is P upon A1, which is nothing but 40 into 10 to the power 3 Newton upon 5 by 4, 25 into 10 to the power minus 3 square. So you can find out here sigma 1. Similarly for other two, you can find out sigma 2 and sigma 3. Okay. Now what is strain? It is also given that the total extension of the bar is 0.285 millimeter. So now once this is given for these three individual figures 1, 2 and 3, you can find out delta 1, which is nothing but PL1 upon AE. Okay. E is same for all cross sections. Okay. E is same for all cross sections. So delta 1 is PL1 upon A1E. Delta 2 is PL2 upon A2E. And delta 3 is PL3 upon A3E. Now total extension delta is delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3. Delta is given. How much? 0.285 into 10 raised to the power minus 3. This is given. You can find out delta 1, delta 2 and delta 3 from these equations. How? P is given 40 into 10 to the power 3 Newton. L is given. Okay. This is L1, this is L2 and this is L3. Similarly, you know the area A1, A2 and A3. So the only unknown here is E. Putting these three values of delta 1, delta 2, delta 3 in this equation, you can find out E. Okay, this was quite simple. Now, let's move on to next concept. What is that? bars subjected to varying loads. So last topic which we studied was bar was varying in cross section, but the applied load was constant. Here, the cross section of the bars will vary as well as load applied on these bars will vary. So we'll see how to go about these questions. Take for example, this is one single composite bar, okay, subjected to varying loads. That is load P1 here, P2 here, P3 here, and P4 here. So while drawing the free body diagrams, just remember that loads at each interface, this interface, this interface, and whatever, at each interface, the loads must balance each other. Okay, there should not be any unbalanced force in any of these individual members. Suppose this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So there should not be any unbalanced force in any of these members individually. Okay, so we'll draw the free body diagram for individual 1, 2, and 3. Now suppose P1 is, okay, we'll do that numerical later. Now remember one thing, tensile load is always positive and compressive load is always negative. These are standard convention. Okay, standard convention. So now what you see here at this interface and at this interface, there are resultant loads. Earlier what we saw that at interface of middle block, the resultant load was 0. But here there is some resultant load, which that is resultant load is not 0. So if we draw the free body diagram, on this one first, P1 is acting here. Okay, so what should be the load on this side? It should be P1. It should be P1 only. Then only resultant load on this member will be balanced. Okay, now second member. If we draw this second member, okay, what we see here, On the second member, we see that load P2 is acting. Okay, so at this cross section, the applied load should be such that it is equal to P2. Okay, how it will be possible? On this, we'll draw it separately. Okay, this is member 2. So what should be the load here? Anti-direction load, magnitude of load as well as the direction. What will be the load and direction here? See, the resultant load is P2. Okay, so it will be, and direction is in this direction. Okay, so means this will be P2 minus P1 and acting in this direction. It will be a compressive load. Okay, so again on this side also it will be P2 minus P1. Okay, got it? Why? Now if you see here, this thing, and if you add these loads, P1 plus P2 minus P1. So P1 cancels out. Resultant load at 1 and 2 interface. This resultant load at 1-2 interface comes out to be P2, which you can see here in this figure. Resultant load P2. Okay. Now we'll draw the free body diagram of third figure, third part. Okay. Now if you see, sorry for the delay first of all. Now if you see here, the third component of this part, you see here in this figure, this one. This P3, you look at this P3. So resultant load at this interface is P3. Okay. Now, so in the third component, the resultant load here would be P3 minus P2 plus P1. What is this? P3 minus P2 minus P1. Okay. So now you see what I told you. The resultant load at this cross section, this one, is P3 and direction is towards left. So if you see here, this one and this one, if we add these two, because what is this? This is resultant force at section 2 and 3, interface of 2 and 3. Okay, so this comes out to be P3 minus P2 plus P1, this one and this one. So add it, P2 minus P1 plus P3 minus P2 plus P1. So P1 cancels out, P2 cancels out. So resultant load is P3, which is this one. Okay, so I suppose you have got this. It is nothing but drawing the free body diagrams and maintaining the concept that at every cross section the loads will balance each other. So this will again be P3 minus P2 plus P1. So this will come out, P4 will be P3 minus P2 plus P1. So you have to draw the free body diagrams accordingly in such a way that the loads at each cross section, this one and this one, should be balanced, as well as in each component the load must be balanced. Okay, so this is the concept of bars subject to varying load. These are important questions because they test the basic understanding of students. There is nothing complicated here. Okay, these are not tough questions. You just have to apply your mind in such a way that you have to balance the forces in individual members 1, 2 and 3. So magnitude as well as the direction of the forces have to be found out, which is a very simple way. Okay, this is not a complex process of understanding these type of questions. So simply break, if you are given a complex member like this one, simply divide it in 3, 4 parts, 2 parts. Okay, whatever number of steps are given, and balance them. You just have to balance the forces, and once you balance the forces, you can easily find out other things like stress, strain, and change in length, etc. Okay, so I suppose this is easy. That is why I'm saying you please purchase the test series which I'll be providing. Okay, cost is not an issue in that because it just costs 250 rupees. Okay, and that 250 rupees test series will cover all the topics of mechanics of materials. There will be around 120 to 150 questions. So it will cover all the topics, and in those topics it will cover all the important questions. Okay, the questions that are most likely to be asked in GATE exam. Because in this, if you see, it is only logical one. There is no rocket science here. Okay, you just have to apply the logic, and the question is quite simple. Anybody can solve this. Okay, so the more you practice, the more you will gain. So please, I suggest you to purchase the test series. That is why I have kept the cost minimal. Everyone can afford this rupees 250 test series because it's for your benefit, not for mine. Okay, so if you understand my point, so please purchase this test series. Write a mail to us. We'll provide you the hard copy. Okay, that will be highly beneficial for you because you can't just practice random questions. There has to be a way of practicing things. Okay, now next we will move on to some more interesting things on stress and strain. Suppose there is a rod of varying cross section. Till now, what we have done, there were specimens with constant area of cross section. Okay, that is the cross section in a single member. Like I'll show you this. In a single member, this dia was constant. Okay, constant diameter. But now suppose we have a member like this, a cylindrical member or a bar tapered like this, varying in cross section. Then how to find? Stress and strain. In this tapered member. Okay, so this is also a very good question. This has been asked in UPSC engineering services exam. You can see previous year papers. Okay, so that is why I'm saying again and again. Please do purchase the test series which I'm providing. Cost is only rupees 250 because I'll be providing you the questions that are highly logical. It is an aptitude based test. You don't need to learn extremely tough, hard things to crack it. You just have to be crystal clear with your concepts. Okay, so I'll provide the test series which will contain questions that are strictly as per the gate paper and not like anything random. Okay, so now suppose we consider a tapering rod which has a diameter varying from D1. Applied load is same at both ends. Okay, but dia changes from D1 to D2. Okay, and the length is L. This cross section will be something like this because it is a circular rod. So cross section will be something like this. Okay. Now The final expression that you can remember is, it is quite simple. Delta is nothing but, delta is change in length due to applied load P. Nothing but PL upon 5 by 4 D1 D2 into P. Now see the similarity. Suppose it was not a tapered rod. It was simply a rod of constant cross section like this D. Okay. So what was delta in that case? Change in length PL upon 5 by 4 D1 square into E. Now here it is only one diameter because dia is constant. So we have written D1 square. But now when dia changes from D1 to D2, from D1 to D2, we have written it individually, D1, D2. So if D1 equal to D2, this formula will become same as this one. Okay, got my point? You have to remember like this. If there is a tapered rod, for simple cross section, constant cross section, the formula is D1 square. Okay, and when there are two different diameters, D1, D2, this D1 square is replaced by D1 square is replaced by D1, D2. Okay. Now remember, if you want the derivation for this, then you can write to me in the comment box. Okay. If you want the derivation for this one, because in GATE, I think derivation is not required. You just have to remember the end result. So remember this delta. Delta is change in length. Delta is change in length. Okay, due to applied load. So this will be PL upon 5 by 4 D1 D2 E. And if it is constant cross section D, then D1 D2 is replaced by single D. So it becomes D1 square. Okay, and vice versa. So this I wanted to tell you because it is important. It has been asked in, this question has been asked in UPSC engineering services examination. Okay. So this was for cylindrical rod. If there is a bar, if there is a bar of uniform thickness T, tapered along its width from B1 to B2. Okay. And length is L. Then we can find out delta in this case as well. What is delta? Again, extension or compression of. Okay, so I'm talking about this condition, but this is not a circular bar. Okay? This is not a circular rod, sir. This is not a circular rod. Okay? You can consider it as rectangular bar. So width is varying. It is tapered along its width from B1 to B2. Okay, this length is L, or you can write small l or capital L. I have written here small l, so I'm writing here again small l. This is small l. Now, what will be the extension of the bar? This is also a long derivation. If you wish to know the derivation, then you can write it to me. I'll derive it for you. Okay. Final expression is delta equals to PL upon T E B1 minus B2 log of B1 by B2. Okay, so this is the final expression. Got it? Remember this. And I'm again saying, if you want the derivation for this, I'll derive it for you. You just write it in the comment box. Or if you can do it on your own, then it's well and good. Okay, I'm here to help you in all possible way. I'm just writing the formula because from GATE point of view, only this formula is required. But if you still insist that I should do the derivation for you, I'll derive it. It's not a big deal. Okay. So for the time being, you can remember this formula and practice the derivation yourself, or you can ask me to derive it for you. Okay. Now we move on to the next topic of this mechanics of material portion, which is compound bars. This is also one of the major application of this stress and strain part of the syllabus. These are some simple topics, but important ones. Okay, because it involves stress and strain concept. So we have to solve these problems. We'll solve one question based on this. When you are solving the problems of compound bars, remember two conditions. First, the total load P is equal to load on individual bars. Okay, and second, This is the static equilibrium condition. Okay. Second condition is strain in all the members will remain same. Okay. Load will add. Load will add. Load will follow in compound bars. Load will follow the addition rule. Okay. But strain will be equal in all the bars. This is called the compatibility condition. Compatibility condition. So we go for these two conditions if we are analyzing compound bars. Okay. We'll do one question based on this. Suppose there is a load W20 kilonewton. (200 kilonewton). Okay. This total weight W is supported on three pillars. One, two, these are all straight. Okay. While drawing, I have bended it, but these all are straight pillars. Okay. Vertical, straight pillars. The length of these outer pillars is height 200. Okay. And this one is 250. Middle one is 250. Okay. Area is 1000 mm square. Here also 1000 mm square. Okay. For this pillar, area is 800 mm square. Okay. These outer pillars are aluminium. This middle one is steel. Okay. Now, since this load W, total load W 200 kilonewton is supported by all these three pillars. Okay. So individually they will support some part of W. Understood? Let the load supported by this aluminium pillar is PA and PA, and by steel pillar PS. Okay. So now look at these two conditions. First one, total load is to be added. So total load W 200. This is equal to load taken by steel pillar plus 2 times load taken by aluminium pillars, because these both are aluminium pillars, outer ones. Okay, so PS plus 2 times PA. Okay, now second condition, delta steel is equal to delta aluminium. Okay, delta steel is equal to delta aluminium. How? You can see the load is supported on all three pillars. So if it is compressed or means if the load is compressed, suppose this, whatever change in length due to this 200 kilonewton, it will be same. Strain developed will be same. Okay. So compatibility condition gives you change in length of steel equal to change in length of aluminium. Then only this block will remain in equilibrium. Otherwise, it will become bended. Okay. So it will rest on these three pillars at some inclined angle, at some inclination. Okay. If strain is this, if delta is not equal for all three pillars. So this is the compatibility condition, that to remain horizontal, there will be equal change in length on aluminium as well as steel pillars due to this applied load W. So delta S equal to delta A. So from here we can write delta S is PS LS upon AS ES, which is equal to PA LA upon AA EA. Now you know all these. E is also given in the question. EA is 1 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per mm square, and ES is 2 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per mm square. Okay, you know the area for aluminium as well as steel. So put all these value here, you will obtain a relation between PS and PA. Okay, because you know the values of LS, AS and ES. Similarly, LA, AA and EA. So you will obtain a relation between load taken by steel pillar and load taken by aluminium pillar. And this relation can be substituted in this equation. And you will get the individual values of load taken by steel pillar and aluminium pillar. Okay. So this is for the compound bars. These two conditions need to be satisfied. Okay. So with this, we complete all types of questions on stress and strain. The concept, all types of concepts have been covered with this compound bars. Now, as I said earlier, if you want to practice more, if you want practice more, then do write mail to us. to avail the practice test test series. Solutions of all the questions will be provided. Okay, so you don't need to worry for the solutions. The test series will contain solutions of all the questions that are given in the test series, because it is not possible here to teach you 120 to 150 questions. Okay, so I again insist you that when this section mechanics of material ends, after studying the entire section, you can write a mail to us for purchasing the practice test test series. It will be beneficial for you. It will contain some very good questions of gate level, which will have high probability of being asked in gate exam. So please believe me, the more you practice, the more you will learn. And hard work is important, but hard work in right direction is important. It's not like you start solving anything randomly. You have to put all your efforts in right direction. Then only you will gain good marks in gate. Otherwise, there is no point in studying these things. Okay. So with this, I conclude this stress and strain part of this mechanics of material portion. Let me tell you again, I'll cover stress and strain in engineering materials, because there also it is given stress and strain diagram for engineering materials. So the whatever stress strain I have covered here, this is different, and whatever stress strain I'll cover in engineering materials syllabus of section 4, that is quite different from this. So again, I'll cover the stress and strain for engineering materials. So for now, this mechanics of materials, stress and strain is over. In the next lecture, I'll start with elastic constants. In next lecture, I'll start with elastic constants. Okay, I'll cover the entire gate syllabus topic wise. Okay, because in gate anything can be asked. Whatever they have mentioned in the syllabus, anything from that syllabus can be asked, and that can be very basic as well. Okay, so you don't have to go for tough questions or tough concepts. Keep things simple. Whatever I'm teaching, follow that. You will score very good marks. Okay, thank you.